that's it for the kind of scripted portion of the day, but I do want to invite Matt and Toby back up here, because I do want to open the floor up to questions. I do want any of us to have the opportunity to speak on anything that people may have to ask or talk about. Please don't be shy.
As you were going through the project, what kinds of things would like raise a flag or sort of make you think, I should ask someone about this. I should ask more about this. I should explore this further with the people I know in the trans community and things like that.
You know, what's interesting is that happened a little bit less often than I expected to, because quite often, and I think both of them hit the nail on the head here in terms of what I was going after, this was an adventure happening to star a kid who happened to be trans, as opposed to a book about, hey, this is what trans is. So it happened less than I was expecting it to, but I found myself needing that voice in moments where Quinn was doing a little bit of internal monologue going, oh, this is what I'm experiencing right now. And I'd hit those moments and type my way through them and then go, I don't know if that's right. I'd hit those points and I'd go, I really feel like I really had to stop and re-examine. I had to look at myself and say, am I typing an experience that's authentic, or am I just typing something that sounds like it could possibly be that's what it was?
Well, one of the passages that you had read was when Quinn was looking at the clothing shops. That was one that you did consult people on, the reaction to the boys wearing the dresses. And so I think you portrayed that very well, and you portrayed everything very well in the book.
Thank you. But you mentioned on the car ride over here, maybe we can talk about this a little, that one scene at the pond that you liked. And I want you to talk about that one because, again, you have the experience of the resonance there. So either you and Toby, really, but that's not something I necessarily want to go into. From my own voice.
When Theodore first meets Quinn, Theodore is unaware that Quinn is trans because that's not a thing that exists in the world. So later on in the book, the two of them, they're going for a swim at the pond, and Quinn's just apprehension and fear of swimming without clothes, it's something that really resonated with me, especially like early on in my years of transition, being that exposed, being that vulnerable. It was mortifying and it was terrifying. And then through that means, that's how Theodore found out that Quinn was trans, and Theodore's just acceptance of, oh, but you said you're a boy, so you're a boy. Like, this doesn't change anything. And Quinn's shock and just, wow, I can't believe that you still know that I'm a boy. Like, this. And it was portrayed very well in that scene, and it's probably one of my favorite moments in the book.
That was one of those moments I was least certain about, because it was the moment, and I think arguably the moment in which in the entire book that Quinn is most vulnerable on the subject of his identity, his body, and who he is. And I thought, if I'm going to do that scene any justice, I need to make absolutely sure that that's what it felt like. And there were changes that I made to it because well, I hadn't gone through it. Thing. Does all that answer your question? Any others, please don't be shy.
I would like to see Queen. I think you have an illustration of Queen.
Sure. I hold that poster.
Oh, it's, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's
How many do you have in the book? How many illustrations are there?
In this edition of the book, none, but eventually at least one or two per chapter. Toby's been doing an insane amount. Why don't you speak to that?
Each chapter has a chapter head illustration that's going to go at the beginning of the chapter, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And then usually I'll have like one insert or maybe two, depending on the chapter. So it's a lot of illustrations.
Although it's funny, I was talking to someone who's like, "Oh, I thought this was going to be a graphic novel. Oh, my expectations are so much higher now." Apparently, I lived up to them, so that was fine. I saw a hand back there, and I don't remember whose it was.
It was me. I'd like to know how your plans for getting the book into the schools.
Oh gosh.
Are there any plans or?
Oh dear. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the world of the political world of education, so as much of this book was the hope that it would be able to get into the hands of kids, into the hands of educators, parents. That process is difficult, partly because I am a teacher, and being a teacher, it's difficult for me to integrate my work into my professional work, because one wrong phone call to the union and I get accused of a conflict of interest thing. So I've had to toe that line really carefully. At the moment, the plan is to, through the advice I've had through wonderful people at the union, like Heather Thompson, who works for the Peel Local, David Jack, who's a principal in the curriculum department, fantastic people who've been so supportive. Through their advice, the current plan is to provide a copy to as many middle schools in Peel as I can, and hopefully in the TDSB as well. If anybody has TDSB connections, let me know after all this is over. I would like, and I want to offer those as a free offer. I don't want to make schools pay for this, because the whole point. It's interesting. I had I don't remember who had passed this comment along to me, but a friend passed along to me a comment that had made to her when she was talking about this book, saying, "Well, this is a cis guy profiting off of a narrative that isn't his." And my first gut instinct on that was, well, there'd have to be profit first. And I can tell you, this has been an investment. I blew right through that Kickstarter money and then some, just getting this together. And when I selling through Amazon, I break even and then make about a 50-cent profit. So none of this is for financial gain, let me tell you. And so ultimately, I don't have any compunction about providing the book to schools for free. The other thing I'm working on creating, which also was mentioned in the Kickstarter, was a parent and teacher guide to the book. And David Jack, who I just mentioned, who works for the curriculum department in Peel, had the brilliant idea of saying, well, why make it a physical book guide at all? Just do videos. Put it on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, cool. A lot less work. Sweet. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I've started writing out the scripts for those, and I'm going to start putting those together in the summer. So hopefully by September, I'll be able to not only have sent the book into schools, but put those links out there on YouTube and provided those breakdowns. I want to include, an overview of what the basics are of being transgender, what that means, what the experience is, in a very, very simplified and doing no justice to it kind of way. We were also talking about putting together a small kind of graphic novel comic book kind of this is your student's first look at this kind of guide. We were calling it what, Meet Quinn?
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. It's basically a way to graphically, through a comic strip, introduce Quinn to kids and have him talk about himself. This is who I am. This is what I am called, and why, and this is what the experience is. And I'm going to be relying on Toby quite a bit for that, not just because of the art, but because this is the part where Quinn really talks about what it feels like to be him, and there's only so much writing I can do on that point without, as John Toby pointed out, that's a big key piece in doing this right. So hopefully we'll be able to put that together next year. It'll have to come after all the illustrations are done. I'm just throwing work at this poor guy.
Not like I mind.
So that's the starting point, and we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe the actual voice. We'll see. Anything else? Yeah, Mark.
When do you sleep?
I don't know yet. I'm still working on that piece. I've been awake for 86 hours straight. No, I'm kidding.
Like, how do you plan your work and then the work you have to do for school and then the writing? Like, do you have a fit schedule or just what the creativity is?
Well, I mean, full disclosure, this piece of work started almost 5 years ago. I started writing this book, 5 years ago, March of 2013. I was in the end of my first year of teaching. I'd finished a really bad fan fiction writing project that had been years in the making, and I thought, okay, ready to graduate to the big boy school of writing now and actually do something original. So I sat down and thought and started writing and thought, okay, I want to do something that's actually meaningful and impactful. And I had no idea where it was going to go. So I really didn't operate on a schedule when I was writing it. For the next one, I have no idea. As it is, I kind of go when the inspiration hits. I don't really plan it. It's hard to do that. And honestly, that's honestly the reason for some of the delays in the Kickstarter pieces or whatever, is I will hit walls where I just have tons of other stuff to do. For anyone who knows or lives with or has family who are teachers, we need those 2 months in the summer. So I'm planning on doing a lot of that in the summer, and there's only been bits and pieces that I've been able to prep. Coming up to this launch was a mess of work. But I feel like I'm really not answering the question. The answer is there's no really set schedule. It's one of those I really kind of just find the time when I can. But that's why I've been so grateful for all the help that I've gotten. And again, to the incredibly generous people who donated to this. it's been a labor of love, but also one that would not have been possible without all the help I've gotten. So, you know, this was not a one-person job by any means. So I sleep just fine. Any other takers? Anything else? Yeah.
Actually, I have a question on the artistic side, the
Oh,
drawing
please,
side. How was that? Tell me about that process, the conversation of translating what is in the text into sort of, you know, an agreed upon image and style and concept and that kind of stuff.
Well, we had a meeting initially where you were saying what you wanted to have illustrated, and I just kind of jotted it all down.
We sat there for about 4 hours.
Yeah. And my mom came down with his tea. So that was that initial meeting, and then from there on, I would just like do little mock-ups, little works in progress, and send it to him, and he would give his input. And like, he was just really. You are like a dream client. Like, you were super easy to work with. Like, I would sit to him and be like, "Oh my god, this is awesome," and like he'd give his input, and we'd kind of go from there. So it was a lot of sending back and forth.
I want to interrupt you for a second. He's given me a lot of credit for being easy to work with, but I've never known an artist so amenable to feedback as Toby. I felt so bad when I had to go back. Well, I wasn't quite picturing it that way. He's like, no, man, it's all yours. Go for it. I'll change that. Yeah, cool. Seriously.
So it was an easy process, the back and forth, because I guess we're both really easygoing. So like, any changes that needed to be made were not a big deal, and he was very interactive with it all. So it was really smooth sailing as far as that goes. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also helped that he read the book in a matter of 3 days flat, and then, it was a lot of fun. But I gotta tell you, a lot of the vision for it came out of, you know, Toby's interpretation of the book more so than what I had put into it, and that's as much what I wanted as anything. But what the great part was when he finished that initial drawing of Quinn and Theodore, I was like, well, damn, I don't have to do anything here. It was weird but really awesome. Just, oh my god, this is something I wrote and now I can see it. Not being very, you know, visually artistic, I have never really been able to accomplish that. So that was magic. It was great. End of answer.